Alright, which one of you sitters suggested that I have a look at the Bobbleheads movie? Did you know this was a thing? I didn't know this was a thing, but it's done by Threshold Entertainment. We've heard that name before. It's Larry Casanov's production studio. Mr. Mortal Kombat, Lego Clutch Powers, and Foodfight. Of course. And just from glaring at this shuffled footage from the entire runtime, you know exactly what kind of vibe they were going for this project. It's a spin of a Toy Story ripoff, so sure, let's get into it. Microsoft Azure? Isn't that a cloud service? What a strange credit. We begin on a roller coaster set of all places as an egg is being hoisted across a miniature set for the family to watch. And it's weird, the movie in its first 5 seconds looks like one of those cryptic adverts you get where you have to make some unusual description. I don't think I've ever properly seen an entire movie that has this cheap-looking CGI animation quality. But anyway, we quickly learn that this family are employed entirely around
theme park design,
and their child is the genius of the lot.
Try a potato. Less mess.
She's so smart, she come up with potato. And you know, usually the way I write out these videos is by watching one scene, stopping, and then going back to write all the points I have about it. But for this movie, the first scene just kind of keeps going and going. It's like a solid 6 minutes of events continuing as characters move from room to room. We've got our baseline establishment.
I am 13.
Cool idea, Audrey, but it's crunch time.
Which then leads straight into a brief phone call with the boss, Audrey being sent to check on the baby character, and the parents building their fish a Rube Goldberg food feeder. This is a quirky family, I'll give them that. But why are the fish's eyes the same as the adult-sized humans? This art style is unnerving, man. The Coco Melon effect has gone too far. And speaking of Coco Melon, the baby has now spawned a consciousness as it starts making its way downstairs, precariously almost hurting itself if it wasn't for background bobblehead over here to help along the way. Cause yes, in this universe, the toys are not complete inanimate objects, they can move completely freely, expressing faces mid-human conversation as well as just randomly start bobbing unprovoked. Like a wind just came down and gusted on them or something. There's the skateboarding one with the parents, the robot one with the baby, and for Audrey there is...
You're right. People just disappoint you.
a cat one. You know, it's not really toys, is it? It's more just humans and an animal. I mean, I know they haven't even started communicating properly yet, but I already feel like this concept is kind of bland. Anyway, the baby almost dies, as you'd expect. Why is it with so many of these terrible animations, the sound design work is just... not there. There's no impact for landing on the ball, and it's practically silent with just this over-babyfied soundtrack in the back. This is enough to keep children's attention. It just seems, again, too bland. So skipping ahead a little, the baby does have a fall to be saved by the parents. Audrey is in trouble for not spotting her despite doing nothing wrong from her perspective, and they choose to go off on vacation, thanks to a poke from the other background bobblehead. And one final thing before we actually see the concept of the film come alive, the dad gets a call from his brother Earl and suddenly explodes.
15 years? What kind of a relationship is that?
Ideal!
Impressive how the best voice acting we've heard so far is from the literal child in the cast. What is this out-of-place screaming? Or is this the director and animator's fault? Is it you, Casanov? So off they pop, the child continuing to speak just like an adult with...
What about your deadline? What about the mortgage?
And of course, the movie, in its mandatory ways, every terrible movie does this, referencing the newfangled thing kids like to do.
Be a, online influencer.
It's called an influencer, Dad.
That's so cool. And after seemingly hours of time has passed, only now do the bobbleheads actually move into action.
Oh, you, furball McKitty.
Oh man, I feel like this constantly bobbing motion is gonna give me secondhand motion sickness. If I'm feeling it, I can't imagine what it must be like for middle-aged moms. This seems like a real flaw in character design, and I wonder if we'll ever get used to it. So we've got to establish our characters now.
What, dare I ask, are you doing?
Name is Iki Oi.
Incredibly clearly, straight to the audience, despite them all surely knowing exactly who each other are.
So know of one's head. Iki, don't run away while I'm monologuing.
And naturally, all the delivery is flat and bland as well. Jokes are spoken, but not really presented. You've got the grumbly cat, the enthusiastic ninja mecha, and you've got...
I don't play. This is a long overdue shred sesh.
Ah yes, the skater archetype of character. The cool one doing what cool kids do. Except, hold on, what year did this come out? This would have been perfect for some kind of 90s movie, or maybe early 2000s, but 2020? We were all in lockdown when this movie came out? And they're bringing out this tired trope? I don't think this movie understands its target demographic very well. And why do her voice lines sound like...
All good in the hood. It was the right thing to do.
Well, they sound like she's recording from inside a drainage pipe. Justified because she's vaguely in a bathtub, but again, this sound design is shoddy at best. This is the kind of audio you get from a student film, you know? Anyway, the Bobbleheads don't get along, all 3 of them.
Not some comic book guest star who got aced after 1 issue.
Aced? Do you mean axed? Like a comic book guest star who got axed after 1 issue? What is going on in the sound design? Why does this keep happening to Toy Story ripoffs specifically? And then as Skater Girl is briefly drowned and tries to get out, Purbles here, who's more just the Squidward of the group than anything else, randomly decides to get involved with...
Purbles.
Why? There is no character integrity in this film. Jump to the next day and Mecha Ninja is playing Xbox.
Ready, fight!
Skater Girl is skating around the house against this incredibly rare obstacle prop before destroying Harvey the fish's food dispenser. That's a plot. Having to fix a minor machine.
No, I got it!
No, I got it. Chill, sister.
You know, behind the totally rad Rip Stickler is actually the voice of Brenda Song. She's a decent actor, but given the dialogues they laid out in front of her and how she has to say the coolest of slang from 20 years ago, if it even was cool back then, and all of her characters just come off as cringe. Shame. So they ask the cat for help, of course. What else is there to play off with after all? Until there's a knock at the door.
Retreat! Back to bases!
In which they run literally to the opposite of their bases and straight to the front door making noise. I love mixed messaging. Anyway, at the door is Earl, the dad's younger brother. How do we know? Oh, well, because the cat went up to take a look without being spotted and somehow just happens to know all the possible information to possibly lay out.
They had a big falling out years ago. Earl took their father's entire bobblehead collection.
Ah, finally! We actually have an insinuation of something larger than 3 toys, an unidentified glob, and a fish to play around with in an empty house. So where do they go from here? Well, the Robo-Soldier threatens to destroy the incoming invaders with her rifle. You know, she's the Toy Story 1 Buzz Lightyear of the group. Only she knows she's a toy. And that cat immediately shoots her down with...
Your comic book proto might have had a sonic blaster, but that thing's just a breath mint dispenser.
And you see, there are the obvious Toy Story parallels we can make with all this, but with dialogue like this, you can really start to see what makes Pixar's storytelling so immaculate. This is a classic case of telling rather than showing. When Buzz Lightyear wants to show off some move, he does it first before being shot down with an explanation, or we're told to just sit back and watch as Buzz acts upon something, swinging around the room in a gesture of flight. Having Purbles here describe it and then show off it happened just completely undersells the whole exchange. I bet they mostly just wanted to showcase Icky's head shaking as it built up. So cool. Another excuse to almost do something original with the Bobbleheads, just all it is making them bobble. Wowee!
Take that, intruders. Behold my albino mouse turd.
So they fight in the midst of someone literally listening on the other side of the door, because that seems like a smart thing to do, and Earl and his wife barge on in, and for the next 5 minutes they get themselves comfortable. The Bobblehead successfully hiding away in the background and repeatedly having to stop the over-enthusiastic one. It's not smart, it's not investing, but look what happens when the girls slide down the lap. Oh my god, they bobble! Wowee! What a great concept. Really putting it to full use there. And also, somewhere along the way, the cat fully hoarded the present gift and shoved it under the floorboards. Not quite shown how, or when, properly. But it's theirs now.
You're not just a hoarder. You're a thief.
Oh, hold on. They have spring necks now? I didn't realize bobbleheads work like that. I thought they would just spin on a little plastic edge, you know? That actually seems like something they could play with more. They probably won't. Hey, now that you're halfway through the video, come subscribe. There will always be terrible movies to cover. I hear there's a rumbling of 45 announcements that all dropped at once somewhere on the internet. So join the ride as we make fun of all the soulless cash grabs there are. So what's in the box, you may ask? Well, it is Deuce, of course, a baseball star that was clearly idolized by the dad once upon a time. Another bobblehead to add to the collection. 4. All the while, Earl here is getting more concerned that this house may be haunted thanks to his missing gift, unknowingly trapping all the bobbleheads in their secret room with his chair placement. Again, this is a 2020 movie, and we still have aged trope gags like this? Didn't we literally have a whole thing against this during the same time period as this movie came out? But now we're aiming it to 5-year-olds. Oof. So how do they get out?
Let's not let our prototypes give us a big head, eh? Oops, too late.
Not for a while. They've still got to roll out every excuse for a pun on their bobblehead reality first. Does this not get boring to them? Surely the novelty has long worn off by now. Only Deuce was born literally a minute ago. So they explore the vents, flirt a bunch, and witness more human greed, attempting to return Deuce into place as a birthday gift.
Take off.
And it all falls apart, of course, and since this movie is aimed for a demographic of like 5-year-olds, these tiny toys of course can get eaten, and the shaking's just pretty PG. Time for a counterattack. Give us your best beat, Greg, who is actually the composer soundtrack guy. Bloody hell, there is nothing in this movie with any kind of substance or flair. This is 2 steps away from just being an ASMR sensory thing with how little everything sounds. And so as this goes on a long while, as both Deuce and McCat refuse to do anything about the dog, eventually things happen as everyone falls over all at once. The cat, the robot, the human, and even the skater flies backwards randomly from the tail. I guess it's action. It's some excuse. Leaving Skater Lady in the fish tank, cat shoved in the fridge, human crawling along the floor, and the others just doing nothing. A lot of oddities that expand for way too long, to be honest. None of it compelling. There's still more, but it's like a collection of completely separate scenes and no real sort of stakes throughout. But hey, another bobblehead decapitation takes place. This is the last they will use of the springheads. So I guess with the house side of things done, we have the dog chasing Deuce and Robot Lady outside, which turns into whack-a-mole. And so they escape underground, the cat is now here to be chased onwards and joins them down there. They keep coming up for air for some reason. Why do bobbleheads need air in this universe? And Skater Girl also manages to join in eventually, immediately stumbles, and then teleports to them for them all to run away, separate again, and throw a baseball bat as a... Oh, of course it ends in a game of fetch. See, this is clearly meant to be like an action high, right? But none of it works. There's a difference between compelling action and just stuff happening all the time. Characters make decisions that don't make a lot of sense to just continue the beats onwards, and it all just feels like brain rot. This movie is 90 minutes long, and it feels like I've been here for 45 hours and 2 seconds at the same time. Really, it's the most fitting 2020 movie there is. But with all these beats, every toy is now locked outside the house. What a conundrum! They're gonna have to spend the whole movie working their way back to the house, like a classic Lost Gang movie. They solved it immediately. And again, with the most basic of cartoony ideas. I get that this is a movie for the very young, or so it seems, but can we not just rehash the same old tired tropes just because you're aiming for an audience that won't question it? Isn't it somewhat disingenuous to just copy and paste a movie to profit off of an unknowing generation? With no actual import to creativity or effort, is this not just immoral? So they come through the roof, enter the bathroom, just as a human is coming in. Really, the full scale of this movie's plot is just edge-of-your-seat material. And instead of just, I don't know, acting like a bobblehead toy, idle in an odd place, Robot Girl goes for... toilet paper. With bright blue hair. Don't tell me this movie's gonna go full-on into the lowbrow. It doesn't, thankfully. But, you know... I'm getting pretty tired of this movie. What even is the plot again? In total, the runtime of this movie is 90 minutes, and we are 35 minutes in. What do you think the odds are that if I just skip ahead by 30 minutes, we'll still be in the same house, doing the same basic tasks of meandering around these familial invaders, doing random crap and just flailing about? Let's try it. Boom! Alright, it's nighttime, and oh my god! It's Cher as a bobblehead queen. And she's here giving everyone a pep talk about the bobblehead code. Okay.
The bobble creed is simple. Bobbles, bobble, and bring joy.
Truly an inspiration. She then buzzes off and the gang get to work on kicking out their home invaders. Ah, so that's the plot. What could have possibly happened over the last 30 minutes, or not in the last 30 minutes, to have us still at this point? Well, I literally don't think there's enough content in this half hour to properly dissect in this video, so I bit the bullet and watched through it all. Here's all the beats they got up to and how little progress they made. So... they fell into the toilet and had to be rescued, the cat had to be CPR'd, Deuce gets into his present, the humans learn of the brothers' vacation and choose to stay the entire night, Skater Girl tries on lipstick, or something, uncovers Deuce to just revert all story plans there, they go on a date with a montage and very strange animation choices.
Never let you go, hold on tight.
Why is the background doing that? They fly off on a horse in their dreams and are then interrupted by the others. The humans plan to take one of them to replace their missing second bobblehead. Jeez, I wonder who that is now. They all argue about who's being taken, though also aren't they being taken to be gifts to their own owners? So it's literally just a temporary transportation back home, like nothing ever happened? They argue over what is the bobblehead creed, need to feed the fish, but Deuce can't bat or do anything as he's been posing this whole time. Deuce gets offended, they gang up on him. Him and Lover Girl argue. We learn Skater Girl cheated in her competition, sabotaging rivals' wills. This is all just rambled rather than shown, of course. They run from the human appearing again, now randomly having the footstep way to Godzilla. He plays around randomly with the bobbleheads, apparently because he was sleepwalking, so they decide to try scaring Earl since he hates scary movies. It's time for manipulation. Creaking horses, electricity mains, oohing through a pipe and turning on blenders, ending it off with a very clearly fake head that scares him right out of the house. What, did he think Wilson in Castaway was a real person? And also alien shadows, apparently. The wife refuses to leave in the middle of the night, the bobbles are all tangled, they clean up their mess, and the humans start heading out. Robo-Girl types at the computer, they pack up Deuce, McCat then sabotage the human bag so they cannot leave. Robo-Girl spots something, and they learn that McCat is worth a fortune, hence being wanted by the humans. And he turns around with...
I want to be taken.
Say what?
I'm done.
And as the others don't want him to, he's like, so long losers, and bounces out of there. This gang were never friends, it seems. The wife calls the dog stupid and berates Earl for being a loser, and he doesn't want to steal and sell from his brother. Oh god, I guess we can slow down the pace again. We're finally on the real plot here. There's attempted murder in this baby movie. Gold Digger wife was willing to kill Earl over obtaining this $1 million cat. So the humans start heading out. I mean, they've been going out for the past 15 minutes, eventually culminating in...
I'm gonna use him as a mold and make 1,000 copies.
Finally, a villain. Only took 58 minutes. As Earl is nothing but a pretzel in the boot of the car. $100 million or whatever it was is somehow not enough. But hey, we ain't seen cloning toys or knockoffs even in 4 Toy Story movies yet. So we're actually taking a whole leap up in creativity too. Or the bar's just that low. So the cat is berated for wanting to abandon them so quickly, and everyone's sad for their own reasons. Skater Girl wanting to be a cool prototype based on someone great.
Like you, peeps. Someone famous and fabulous and loved. Like you, sister.
Was that established at any point? Or is it normal to just turn to a poster of Cher in your time of need? Well, it activates something, as Skater Girl is immediately beckoned by the computer with the voice of Cher. And then it goes nowhere. Villain Lady is coming back, but doesn't have the keys to get back in. Deuce sneaks out on the dog, and now the lady is back. So many delays. She takes the cat, and just as quickly has a bubble bath. And as everyone reunites, they learn of the big betrayal, and the cat is suddenly on board, after being accidentally used as soap one time.
I've seen things no bobblehead should ever have to see.
Tits. So what happens now? There's buzzing outside. It's... suddenly a drone, here to save the day. And you'll never guess who it is. It's Cher!
Hey, Bubbles, how's it going?
We saw this earlier. She's from the Bobblehead High Council and ready to help, I guess. Beckoning Juice to finally do a stunt correctly after we all learned he's a poser, and he does so. She informs them of the correct bobble code, you know.
The bobble creed is simple. Bobbles, bobble, and bring joy.
Truly an inspiration. Also, she has just been spying on them the whole time? How does Cher know they were struggling with the creed earlier? Or whatever. She has a pep talk for everyone. Deuce needs to practice, Skater Girl needs to stop avoiding who she's based off and be more herself, somewhere in the middle of that person and what she wants to be. Also, her name is Colony, and I cannot remember it very well. Brenda song. Robo-Girl learns it's about courage, not having an effective weapon. Ikioi, how am I supposed to learn these names? And Purbles needs to embrace being one of a kind, so... just a bunch of non-solutions, nothing really applicable to the human invader thing, you know?
When you put your bobbleheads together, you can achieve anything.
Or you can just get tangled up. And then off she goes, a saving grace of a character to come in for plot's sake, or for cameo's sake, and then never to contribute or elaborate again. Apparently the idea of a Cher animated presence was debated on for years, and this is what they settled on. Bobbleheads. And now they're ready, it's time to kick out the humans, just like they wanted to at the very start. Montage time.
Look at what we're gonna do.
It's kind of a Home Alone moment. A collection of unconnected traps. Makes sense for a toy story. How has Pixar not done that either? I guess they like their creative integrity more. Anyway, Binky is plastered with gherkins and something in her boots. It begins. She's pelted with marbles, crashed down the stairs. That could seriously kill someone in their 30s. And then they...
Run, McCat!
They're animatronic!
Well, one, they just copy the Home Alone feather formula, but also break the Toy Story rule and ruin their identity secret. Classic for losing the magic of kids' imagination for their toys. But it inspired Binky all the more to get her cat. It can go for so much more money now she knows that they actually move, stepping outside for some reason for the Bobbleheads to lock the door. And that's the movie sorted.
On your six!
Wow, that's pretty nice and extreme. Finally, I can feel a hint of something in this movie. If not just despair for the state this is going to leave their laminated wood floorings in. But it's all or nothing time. How do you take down a deranged lawnmower-wielding human as a tiny little bobblehead? Oh, never mind. She's gone for the Hoover instead. The lawnmower's disappeared. And the crappy voice acting is still there. I hadn't forgotten. It's constant. In case you got used to it.
You mess with the Bink, you go in the sink.
Huh! And she's full on ready to maim anything that's not valuable. Nice! It's time for a brawl. McCat, still an awful name, bites the ankles and flings around the room. Deuce catches the others in a bowl. Binky believes it's space aliens and spins Deuce for a while, leaving the others to their own accord, and they...
Find friend object!
Oh no. Oh no. I get the idea, but they shove a carbonated drink can into the microwave to use as a projectile. You can't put that in a kids movie. That is so irresponsible. Not because kids can now be armed with flying cans, but because that's just not what happens. This would cause an explosion, or at least a fire. You can't teach kids this is a viable method. This movie is lucky the demographic doesn't have the height to reach the microwave. Otherwise, this is so apprehensible. Casanov, what are you doing? I know it's questioned whether you were an arsonist to your own studio, but don't teach kids it. Anyway, it does the job. She runs out, fearing aliens, manages to instantly catch McCat like it was nothing. Wasn't all the action about this moment anyway?
I'm out of here. Come on, kitty!
And then Inky Oi has a final moment.
Stand down, human!
This is meant to be character development. And also, this works. Partially. But to wrap it all together, as Inky Oi scarpers around all of Binky's body parts, Colony and Deuce take on the roller coaster from the very start of the film, of course. Oh, but also they crash halfway through, because every story beat, of course, has to take a 70-second detour, eventually finishing up with a romance beat in there, a smaller roller coaster, and a thwip to save the cat.
This is it!
But it's not over yet, as the gang are all now down to the ground. It's a 4v1, and how else do you beat a giant human than by using a glowing yo-yo that I just didn't mention back in the vent days. And a baseball player toy finally living up to his role with... and adding one final pun with...
Guys, Tower of Bobble!
Not really needed, but they tower up and bash her in the butt, because, as we all know, humans are practically defeated once you knock them over once. What? They can just do that? Okay. And though Earl shows no sense of dominance or authority, he hasn't forgiven Binky. He's taken her to jail. Though you can barely tell if you weren't listening to his direct words at the very end of his sentence.
The bad news, it's got a lot of bars on the windows.
How did the dog go to the car, open the boot, untie Earl, and let him through the door? I guess we'll never know. When your audience hasn't developed object permanence yet, you don't need to know. And so their human trouble is gone for good. They're briefly sad because Deuce was taken with them, but they clean up the house, fix the roller coaster. Actually, they only fixed the roller coaster. Dropped one more pun.
Race you!
Not fair, you got a bobblehead start.
And the family returns home. Fish feeder inexplicably fixed, daughter happy after some off-camera friends were made, and the bobbleheads accidentally made the roller coaster non-fatal. Earl appears to gift away Deuce, and as the dad learns about the cat's price, he comes out with...
McCat? I'd never sell him. Audrey loves him, so he's priceless.
And also all the others were bought at life events, so they're all special. Dad had 3 life events, and they're all now a big happy family. Also Cher is on the computer randomly now. She needs dancers for the, Well, at least they address that they're not good dancers, not the full DreamWorksism. I'm gonna be honest, I started this video in April. I kind of switched off from this movie right around the Joss Whedon moment and picked it up over 5 months later. Like, what actually happened over this movie? Humans invaded, they wanted to get them out, cats stole a gift, they returned it, they took him out again for a date, scared the humans, they reverted and stuck around, Cher was there, and then they kicked them out for good. And somehow the one task took 90 minutes and a whole lot of fluff. This movie isn't trying to be something stark, it's another classic case of a simple, basic, stupid movie for a simple, basic, stupid audience. It's aimed at kids, and really young ones, and because of that, it feels like it can get away with making something uninspired. The music is barely there, the story is just tropes upon tropes, and it's hopping off at the success of Toy Story with none of the ingenuity, just an animation simulation on those damn heads. They bobble, wowee! Unless they animated them manually, in which case I feel so sorry for the animators. This is Baby's emoji movie. Toy Story for dummies. This is like trying to monetize a movie out of Uno or something. Which they are doing, by the way. Mattel's gone mad with 45 new movies planned post-Barbie. Hot Wheels, the movie. Rock'em Sock'em Robots, the movie. And a horror film based on the Magic 8 Ball. Yeah, I'm gonna have loads of terrible episodes to bounce off from. Maybe the concept of Bobbleheads was interesting, but making a quick buck was all the intention, and so obviously, the results that come out is nothing more than terrible. Thankfully, this wasn't Brenda Song's last song call. She did The Quarry 2 years later, so she still got it. Jennifer Coolidge was also Binky. Oh, how easy it must be to get big names when you're gunning for something quick. Anyway, now that this brain goop is done, I can probably hop on more terrible episodes. As of now, I'm switching up our upload routine, so I could double the time spent on each post. With the success of our fart video essay, I'm feeling good to just pump in some quality and enjoy what I'm doing more. So prepare for all the more green screen jokes next time, over the next 4 months. For now though, my name's been Daz, you don't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.
Well, maybe it's good that nobody's watching.